Hello friends, and hello enemies. So today we're looking at a table museum piece. Table museum figures are a group of figures in the Figma line, but instead of being based on popular IP, they're based on works of art. And those pieces of art can range from ancient to a little bit more modern, but still pretty old. The piece we're looking at today, for instance, is from the 1800s, and that is The Scream by Edvard Munch. Even if you're not into art or art history, even if you weren't forced to take art history classes at 8 o'clock in the morning every day, you should know this. I'm sure you've seen it. It's a very emotional, kind of scary piece of artwork of a guy just like screaming his lungs out on this bridge. Very unsettling. And here it is, reproduced in action figure form for some reason. So the original was produced in pastel, and that really comes through in the artwork. It's very grainy and really loose, and I'm really interested to see how they reproduce that in action figure form. So let's get into it. Let's look at the box first, as we tend to do. Nice half window in the front. As always, we get some nice promotional shots on the sides. Here's another one looking pretty sassy. And then more examples on the back. Warning, choking hazard. Small parts not for children under 3 years old. If you give this to a child under the age of 3, something's wrong with you, because this is terrifying. It reminds me of, it's funny saying a piece of classical artwork reminds you of something modern, but that episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog, where Eustace steals the slab from King Ramses or something. It's been a while. But King Ramses in that episode is just horrific looking. Sure, he gave several children nightmares. So first off, I will say that this figure definitely has a weight to it. And that is very much appreciated, because otherwise I think it would easily tip over. So it's a little bit flared at the bottom and heavier at the bottom, which is nice for displaying and posing purposes. Before I get into the figure proper, I want to talk about this this backdrop for a moment. I was pretty excited to have this backdrop included, and it came with this like frame and everything, but then when I took it out, the frame pretty much almost fell apart, and that's because it's like modular. It's got these sections and they're all a very, very lightweight plastic. So it just wants to fall apart immediately, and I don't understand why they did it that way. Like, it could have just been a regular frame, you know? And the art snob in me really wants to see this reproduced on like a canvas replica material, like some kind of coarse cotton or something, but it's just a very thin print. It's not a bad print at all, but it's definitely something you'd expect to come inside an action figure package, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, that frame just confuses the heck out of me. Another thing is that in order to get it to stand, it has to plug into the Figma stand, which is fine. But when you do that, there is no room for this, which means you cannot attach it to him and it cannot be used to hold him up. So it's either one or the other. Within the package, there was also a like a cutout section in the red backdrop that's meant to be kind of a stage for this figure. You can cut it out and arrange it so it's got a little bit of a rise to it. Put him on that. So that's cool, but I'm not going to do that. It's a little bit more work than I'm going to want to invest. So yeah, just this frame. Why? Because I was thinking I would definitely display it with this, but now that I've gotten it out and I've felt it and seen how easily these joints come apart, I don't really want to bother with it, you know? So I might just be displaying him on his own. But he looks great. Very accurate representation. It almost looks like he's made out of wood. That's how textured and grainy the paint is. Just so many like streaks and dabs of color that look like they've gotten caught on the texture of this figure. Still very, very scary. A bit of artistic license as far as the feet go, because we don't see them, so they've just put him in this long gown, which I think is perfect. It really adds to the specter-like atmosphere. Very inhuman. A bit of artistic license in the back too, because obviously we don't see his back in the painting. I really like this area, and not because it's a butt, but because it takes some of the colors of the background and uses them. Like the light is being reflected onto his outfit, so you can see some of the blues from the river, all the colors from the sky. I think that's very, very nice touch. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but I mean, probably, right? His eyes remind me of a Peanuts character. So for articulation, for this particular one, I don't think it's going to be super great, just because of the nature of what he is. You get some up and down. You've got some neck movement, so that helps. I do tend to be very careful with Figma. I don't think I've ever gotten a break from one, but the joints are very small, and I think it would probably be easy to break if you bent something out of place. But as long as you're gentle, it should be okay. He's got a single elbow, but it scrunches in very far. Very, very creepy arms and hands. Got a swivel on that. And an up and down. Got some good movement in the middle. The rest can move in theory, but just the way it's shaped, you're not going to get too much out of it, and I wouldn't push it too hard. Tiny, tiny, tiny bit of crunch on the chest there. That's about it for him. So he also comes with magnets underneath, so you can attach him to something and have him just hanging off it, being really creepy. I don't know why you would do that if you want to like scare yourself at 2 in the morning when you're going to the fridge for a midnight snack, but I tested it and the magnet is not very strong, so he wants to slide. Like I said, this is pretty heavy on the bottom. I just don't think this magnet in here is strong enough to hold up his weight, because yeah, he just wants to slide. It was a really neat idea though. Once again, very scary. Why would you do that? But still a neat idea. So unfortunately for this one, not much in the way of accessories. He's got the frame and the painting, which I've said that I don't care for, just because of the way they did that frame. The only other thing pretty much that he comes with, aside from the stand and this stand piece, are extra hands and a little extra, I think this is probably a hand joint, just in case something happens. The joints are very small, so it's nice that they include an extra one if you need it, but it is very small, so try not to lose it. Another great thing about Figma is that they come with these bags. So you can just put all your accessories in this, label it if you want, and store it away until you need it. Another thing that Figma does that I like a lot is uses these pegboard type things for their hands. So this serves 2 purposes. It keeps the hand holes from shrinking until they get to the customer, and it's just a nice way to keep all these little pieces together. So as you see here, he comes with a pretty good assortment of hands. He's got 2 bunny ears hands, 2 kind of like curled, creepy, grasping hands, 2 splayed out hands, and 2 trigger finger hands, I guess, if he's gonna shoot something. I mean, it'd be cool to let him shoot whatever he's afraid of. I don't think you can shoot the existential trauma that comes with being a human, though. I would have tried by now. Switching out the hands should be easy. And you want to be gentle. Gentle both ways, that's what I say. I don't know what that means. I like the bunny fingers hand because it really does seem like he's trying to do this, but he's just so horrifically malformed that he just can't. And if you're going to try and insert a gun or something in this trigger finger hand, I would be very careful. It's a moderately pliable plastic, but I think if you stressed it too much, it would snap. I'm not sure, but that's definitely what it feels like to me, so just be careful. So here he is with 2 others in the Table Museum line. We've got the Thinker and an Easter Island head. So he stacks up pretty well against them. They're all about the same size. I want to say hovering around 6 inches. I believe that the Scream is the only one of these 3 that has come with a backdrop like this. I think that's something they've started to do more recently. I could be just totally wrong, but I don't recall these 2 coming with a backdrop. Then again, they are statues, not paintings, so it makes sense. So these do tend to be pretty pricey, even for what they are. They're all very well made, but there's not that much to them. If you are a fan of art and art history, I think they are definitely really cool pieces to have. This guy for weirdness factor alone, this guy for meme potential, I guess. But otherwise, I can't see most people wanting to shell out the money for these, and I totally understand that. But they are great, even though you can't do that much with them. They're well made, they look incredibly accurate, and they're just fun to have. This guy really scares me, but when I was a kid, one of the techniques I would use to get over a fear is imagine the thing that was scaring me and imagine it as like a goofy, funny thing. And that's kind of what this is. A very upsetting, terrifying piece of work turned into just a little guy, and I'm here for it. So I know this was a short review, but I hope you guys liked it. Sometimes I like to take a look at some of the weirder stuff. As always, likes and subscribes are very much appreciated, comments are more than welcome, and I'll see you guys on the next one.